Hi, my name is Freddy Lampret. I'm the Chief Physiotherapist at MPG Physio and Rehab. When I started my physio practice, I also started a coaching practice. More of a sports science type practice where there was a real scientific basis behind the methodology. And at the time, I was using specific benchmarks. So I used to use for running, I used to use the classic old 5K time trial. And from the 5K time trial, I used to calculate all their training zones, broken down into all the different percentages of that 5K, whether it's faster or slower. But very fortunately, early on, I got two guys who ran the same 5K time. But then when we did our training sessions, the one guy used to run his shorter intervals, his 400s, 200s, 800s, significantly quicker than the other guy. And I thought that was interesting. I thought the other guy maybe wasn't pushing hard enough. But then the other guy would run faster in his 21s. And so what I did was I was trying to understand this whole interplay, why this was happening. And so I plotted their performance on a chart, and I realized they had different curves. So they were, I'd prescribed them the same training, but it was actually wrong for one of them or both of them. And so that's when I realized, listen, I actually have to calculate their performance duration curve if I want to have this accurate. And so I started doing that using it took me about a year, testing out with about 30 athletes, trying to figure out an algorithm to calculate two different, from as few different data points as possible, an accurate performance duration curve, where I would be able to then predict their performance. And after a lot of trial and error and a lot of maths, I managed to come up with a basic formula, and then I tested it with that group of athletes for about a year, and it was pretty much spot on. I could predict their half marathon times to the minute. I knew how fast they would run their intervals. I could predict it, and so that is how I started generating more sort of scientifically based training. And so the problem with that is that to generate a training program for each athlete was very time consuming. So I realized if I want to do this justice, I've got to have some kind of automation with this. I've got to have algorithms and stuff. I can't be calculating every athlete's intervals every week and then trying to create a training program for that. And so that's where that started, to try and create something that was accurate, that could really make a difference in the athlete's training. And so it took me until 2015 actually. So it took me about 8 years to really figure out how to do that. And that is when we launched our first running application, which was an online application. And then we expanded that to the triathlon. And we created a triathlon squad, and basically that triathlon squad did extremely well. At one stage, we were ranked #1 in the world in our category, which was quite good. And at one stage, we also had the biggest squad in the country. And from that squad, we had numerous national champions. Some went on to become professional athletes, top 3 in the world. I would say it was pretty successful until COVID hit. And then basically everything just collapsed. There were no races, no events. But then we've started again. And now, the world is opening up again and people are starting to train again. So from the word go, anyone who trains, doesn't matter what your methodology is, everybody is going to improve to a point. The point is that if you are doing a lot of your training where the intensity is too high, you're stimulating energy systems that might not be appropriate for what you need to do. And not only that, it makes you tired, it fatigues you. So the sessions there that you do need to execute, you can't because you're too tired. But generally when people are just going on feel, what ends up happening is that the hard sessions invariably become too easy, and the easy sessions invariably become too hard because they gravitate towards that sort of mid-zone. And that is where people stagnate. And the beauty of MPG is that it's not a methodology that is the same for every athlete, because we're looking at their performance duration curve, and everybody's performance duration curve is different. And so some coaches will say, oh no, I believe in a high mileage. High mileage works because that's usually what worked for them. So the methodology that MPG has is not one where we are stuck on a specific thing. We look at your performance duration curve, and based on that, It's unequivocal what is lacking, and the system gives you what you need in order to keep improving, because it tries to get your performance duration curve to have an optimal shape. Whether it's low on the one side, it'll try to get you to come up. Whether it's flat, it'll try to get you to come up there. If it's too low here, it'll try to get you to come up. So that is basically how the training system works. So most coaches, they cannot really articulate what their methodology is even. It's more a case of do what I say because I say you must do it, because I know what's best and because this is what worked for me. But that is not a scientific approach. It's not going to be the same for all athletes. It needs to be different. It needs to be tailored to each individual. The app is ideal for anybody who wants to maximize their own potential. There's a misconception because it's quite advanced and it's quite technical in a sense. It's aimed at reaping the best of your physiology. And so people get this idea, oh no, I'm not a professional athlete. I don't need something so complicated or so technical. But it's not. It's quite user-friendly to use. You literally just have to go and do a performance test with 2 variables. And once you've got those 2 numbers, you put them in the system and it automatically generates your training based on your own performance duration curve, which then gets updated intermittently. And so if you're an athlete that just likes to go out there and shoot the breeze with the mates, and you're out there more for the enjoyment and the camaraderie and to get out into nature, you're not really wanting to become a good runner, you're out there socially, this is not your thing. That's not what this is about. This is going to improve your performance. It's going to take you from A to B in the shortest, most efficient time possible. And so whether you are just starting out your running journey or your athletic journey or your triathlon journey, or you are already at the professional level, it's going to take you where you are and it's going to move you forward. And that's basically what the purpose is. We offer 2 programs. The one is what we call a self-coached option, where people literally just download the app or register online, and then basically they put their numbers in and it generates a training program for them. They enter all the races into the system that they want to do, and the system pretty much gives them tapering, recovery, it gives them everything. So the system does a lot. If they're not really keen on getting feedback and having a bit of a chin wag back and forth with their coach, they can just basically coach themselves. And then the other option is the coached option, where we actually give you feedback to every workout every day. And that's obviously the more expensive option. And I think if you look at the pricing at which we offer them, it's unbeatable for what you get. Get onto the website, download the app as well, and then register, get your numbers into the system, and then start training. It's as easy as that.